What's going on? Welcome back to the third episode of our sponsorship series on how to properly write a sponsorship proposal. Well, guess what? We've conquered episode 1 where we gave you the intro, the things to think about. We went on to episode 2 where we told you how to introduce yourself. And now this episode, we are going to button up how to properly introduce your project or the reason that you're asking for sponsorship. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. Let's get into it. What's going on? I'm Scott from Coding, and if you are not familiar with what we're doing here, we're basically trying to give you all the information that you need to know to properly put in a sponsorship proposal. Now we're at the beginning of the year, and this is kind of a good time to begin this process. So today we're going to be taking a deep dive on how to properly introduce your project or the event or the thing that you're looking to have sponsored by a given company. So here's the deal. Let's talk about the differences in the type of proposal that you're going to pitch. So first, let's talk about a project. When it comes down to a project or an actual vehicle build, we're looking at something that's very specific. Now, you gotta be careful about this stage of it because there's two parts of a vehicle build that become hard to pitch. The first part is when you actually haven't built the vehicle yet, or you're in the process of building the vehicle. And then there's the second part, which is I finished the vehicle, but I haven't done anything with it yet. The reason these are so tough is because you don't have the proven track record. Now, if you have a proposal, if you have something that you're going to be sending to a company, we need to make sure that we're giving them all the pertinent information, but again, not too much. There's a theme that's been reoccurring throughout all these series, and that has to do with how much information. There's a lot in self-editing. Don't want to give them everything in the kitchen sink because remember, somebody has to read this. Okay, so let's start with the first one. You're building a vehicle, you haven't built it yet. You're trying to look for sponsors to get parts so you can continue to build your vehicle with those parts. So what you want to do is you want to quickly go through what your build intentions are. You want to make sure you itemize the parts and the different things that you're going to do to this vehicle as long as it's important for the person that's reading it to know. Because at the end of the day, if you're looking for a set of wheels, be very careful with the following. Do not draft an email or a proposal and then just change the company name and send it to 15 different companies. That is probably the way to ensure a surefire death. What you don't understand about the back end of this industry is it's much smaller than you think. Even when you think that they're competitors, there is a good chance that they speak to each other. Keep in mind that whatever you put in this proposal, there's a possibility it will be shared on the back end and your legend may precede you a little bit. So if you're building a vehicle and you don't have it done yet, the first thing we have to do is we have to paint the picture of what this build is going to be in totality. Why is this build special? Why does this company need to come on board? Now, I would strongly recommend that if you're at this stage, you have a professional rendering completed. You don't want to show them pictures of somebody else's car. You don't want to show them a picture of somebody else's build because that would insinuate that you're going to make a clone of what you're showing them. There are plenty of freelance designers out there that you can find on the internet. There's plenty of people that you probably know within your circle. This step not only helps them really see what you're going to build, it also really helps them understand that you are committed to this project. You were willing to spend money or spend the time to do a rendering of sorts to make sure that they saw your vision as well. Remember, so much of what we're doing here is about making sure that your proposal stands out from the rest. Let's jump into the other part of this. You have a project and your vehicle is already done. Well, congratulations because you actually built the vehicle and you're at the stage where you're looking for something. If you've built a vehicle and you're looking for parts, there is a high chance that you already have some sort of part in its place. So your job in this situation is to show them, hey, I have these parts. This is why I have these parts. I really want your parts, and here's why. If you have a different brand suspension on your car and you're applying for another company's suspension, you now have to show them why didn't you buy that suspension in the first place? You know, companies want to work with people that are already in support of them. They want to build relationships. Your job is to figure out how to extend this olive branch to somebody that you've never met before and tell them why it's worth it. You're going to be a great brand ambassador. Your project's going to live on for them. So we've talked about the types of sponsorship where you're doing a vehicle build and you're trying to tell them exactly what you're building or have built. But there are other types of sponsorship that you could put a proposal together for. And that has a lot to do with things like events, or maybe even some sort of charitable thing that you're doing where you're looking to have the company sponsor an event or donate something, or maybe you have an event series where you want the company, to come participate at your event series and kind of put a little bit more skin in the game than just setting up their booth. When it comes down to asking a company to be part of your event series, your job is not just to describe how great your event is. It's to describe how great the event is, how many people are going to come, how much impressions, what's your media exposure, all the different things that are going to make this event so wonderful. So you have to stand out even to the top echelon of some of these brands to be able to fight for what they have. Now, this is tough, so you need to make sure, especially if you're in the early stages of events, that you do a little bit more homework. My suggestion to this is, if you've run the event in the past, find other vendors that have come to this event series and let them provide a testimonial that maybe you can include there. Also, this isn't a bad place to necessarily put a reference in. If you have a valid reference, maybe another company that's in the same industry, this is a good time to maybe put some of these references in. So we've kind of mentioned the ask, and that's going to be in our next episode. In the next episode, we're going to tell you about how to properly ask for something, and we're going to give you some tips on whether it's really of the right value proposition. See, at the end of the day, your return on investment, right? The money that the company gives you, or the product that they give you, the value of the product, you can't just make that money back for them. You have to make that money back tenfold or plus. You have to put in a multiplier here that's going to basically take the amount of money that they invested in you and return it to them, right? So keep that in your mind here, and stay tuned for the next episode where we will conquer the ask. We will go after the ask. We will tell you how to properly ask for things or what you need, and how to do it respectfully, but also how to do it with the proper kind of points and bullets that you need. So that's it for this one. We hope that you found it useful. If you have, make sure you throw that like down below. Maybe click a subscribe button, because hey, you know, we're all here for the good subscribe.
Okay. Do it. Do it.
All right.
And that's it. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.